Again?
Oh, but you say studying biology. You know, some people are not doing biology. Not everyone did biology in high school. So some people are doing history. That's why we need to tell everyone how it takes most to eat healthy food. You cannot be doing history and you're being taught like about healthy food. There's not. In history, they'll
that's actually
teach you guys
true.
about kakurukasi, munguna them. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah,
So, guys, we are raising awareness to you guys so that you guys can know what really is happening in our daily
yes, like
lives.
accountants, please eat healthy food. Accounting people, social science people, you know, you guys don't get taught these things in school. But yeah, you guys are lucky you have us here. We are telling you everything that is good. So please don't miss out.
But remember, eating healthy doesn't mean you can't enjoy treats. It simply means making healthier choices most of the time. So need someone to talk to, call 106 and 116 on Uintani radio station. A balanced diet means eating foods from all different food groups. Your body needs carbohydrates for energy, proteins for growth, healthy fats for brain development. When we talk about brain development, we are talking about the fundamental aspect of a brain development. Vitamins and minerals to protect your illness and and drink plenty of water. Water is a basic thing that we do every day when you are thirsty. You can drink water. Okay, guys, Helena.
Yeah, guys, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned because this program is packed with useful information for every parent, caregiver, and young listeners, you know.
Okay, guys, tuning out. We'll come back again after the music break. But guys, you need someone to talk to. If you need someone to talk to, call 106 116. Don't forget, tuning out. It's your girl Mika and Helena. Bye. We are the Uintani team.
And that is the Uitani team. That is Helena Ndapewa Itula and Michaela Monondumbo. Did I pronounce your name right?
Actually correct.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah,
and now we're just going to take a quick break and we'll be back again. And if you just tuned in, you have been listening to Uitani Childline radio program in collaboration with Lifeline Childline, and educating us on what is good nutrition and healthy, and healthy versus unhealthy foods are the two ladies that seem to know their thing, their way around, around food. Some of us just grab anything that's on the table and shove it up, down the mouth, and we go about our day. So fortunately for you, this education came at the right time. Never too late, or better late than never. Please stay tuned for the next part.
Eagle FM lets you express your constitutional rights of freedom of expression without fear of favor.
This is actually, to put it mildly, an economic scandal.
Fraud.
Not fraud, it's a scandal. Why do you give a tender to somebody who does not have capacity to build? Why should you do that? You know a person that does not have a capacity to build.
Eagle FM lets you talk.
That's why I'm always telling people in Parliament, let me not take up my Katatura menace.
Right.
Because I grew up in Katatura. And I will not hesitate to tell you off if it is needed to do.
Be part of the debate by setting the agenda.
My response in terms of Rwanda at 6% is that we had been there before. We've had 6% growth before. It's not something that Namibia has not achieved in the past, and it's not something that Namibia will not be able to achieve in the future.
Eagle FM, the eye.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I am planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Simon, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional, and church events. And basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
lipuranengeno wapumbwa eva tere ulikoni maondudu toingida ashike kapeno nweku dite opoye ekukulile oshafafana nongeshe faili meholamo ihoetike kovano ile koshiwana onongeshe fa yapumbwa kukaraya kovano okupitiramo Eagle FM otuna emitoda njuka okukwetera oipindi konu kondabe nawa nuneudo otukwetera o special ngetashake ngeshefa omarudi dayoloka opone ushendife nawa nokumona oijamo ili nawa ningepata fanona monika ko Eagle FM onora etatu imwe mbali heali nola natu heali mbali no heali ile komberewa nora hetatu natu mbali o hetatu batatu o mafilane Eagle FM the eye.
And welcome back. We continue with where we left off, more like Helena Itula and Michaela Munondumbo will continue where they left off with the healthy eating and healthy discussion. And just remember, you're listening to Itani Childline radio program in collaboration with Lifeline Childline, and educating us on health this wonderful afternoon. Helena Andapewa Itula and Michaela Munondumbo. Pardon me. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Guys, we are welcome back to Witani radio station in collaboration with Eagle FM. So guys, today we are going to continue with the topic that we left behind. We are going to talk about the benefits of healthy nutrition. Healthy nutrition has benefits. It gives us energy throughout the day, helps children grow and develop properly, helps children grow and develop properly, strengthens our immune system, improves concentration and learning, maintains our healthy body weight, keeps our bones and muscles strong, reduces the risk of chronic diseases, promotes a healthy skin and teeth, supports our mental health and emotional well-being. So today we are gonna give it on to Helena. Helena, what do you have for us?
So not only that, so if a child is eating a good healthy diet, that child will perform excellent in school. You know, the child will be so active, and then when they're in class, it's just them, and they'll perform so good. So parents and caregivers, people should encourage children to eat balanced meals and avoid skipping breakfast. Breakfast is important because if you don't eat breakfast and go to school, you start sleeping. I'm telling you, you will sleep in that class. But don't eat too much, because if you eat too much, it'll be a lot. And breakfast is also one of the most important meals. Yeah, breakfast is important. Before you go out, you must make sure you got something for yourself.
Yeah, it's actually true. But speaking on the meals, Chase, if you eat healthy, some here are healthy examples. Healthy meals examples. Some healthy meal ideas can be oatmeal with fruit for breakfast, brown bread with eggs and vegetables, grilled chicken with rice and mixed vegetables, fish with sweet potatoes and salad. Wow, that's so good. Fresh fruit as snacks instead of sweets. Drinking enough water every day is also an important part of healthy nutrition. So guys, we are going to move in. What is unhealthy nutrition? Unhealthy nutrition happens when people eat too many foods that are high in sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats while eating very few nutritious food. Examples include soft drinks, chips, sweets, and chocolates, cake and pastries, fast food like burgers and fried chicken, processed meats, instant noodles with little nutritional value. Eating these foods occasionally is acceptable, but eating them regularly can cause harm to our body. There are effects of unhealthy nutrition. They can cause height gain, obesity, type 2 diabetes. We actually learned about type 2 diabetes last week in biology. High blood pressure, heart disease, tooth decay, low energy levels. When she was speaking about the low energy levels, sleeping in class, I've experienced that once. It can cause tooth decay, as I said, low energy levels, poor concentration, weak immune system, poor growth in children. The importance of good nutrition. It helps us perform better at school. At work, during sport, it keeps our minds alert and our bodies strong. Healthy eating also improves our mood and helps us sleep better. The 5 groups of balanced diet should include foods from 5 food groups, which is fruits, vegetables, grains, protein foods, dairy products. Eating from each group every day provides the nutrients our body needs. Healthy eating habits, it can be eating breakfast every morning, as she said, drinking 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, limiting sugary drinks, choosing fruits instead of sweets, eating more vegetables, drinking food labels, adding out overeating, exercise regularly, and getting enough sleep. Helena, I feel like you got tired of me. Can you have something for us?
But it was nice. Yeah, telling them, everyone, those social and accountant learners that are not doing science. Science is teaching us a lot of things. Because if you're doing those economics, you only learn about money. All you guys learn about is just money and counting. It's just money. Money, but you not eat money though. So please, you guys should listen attentively and take something from this. But before, I have something, it's just a quick joke, but this other kid was like, why did a tomato turn red? Then because it's so, apparently salad wearing what? Wearing a dress. I'm like, how can salad be put on a dress now? That is just, it's just a small joke.
Is tomato a vegetable or a fruit? Oh my gosh, because we cook it, we eat it even raw with salt. So don't you, Helena?
I don't know what tomato is. I don't know. Like, honestly, and yeah, so guys.
Okay, even if we eat healthy foods, we should we should also stay physical active. So when we talk about healthy foods, we cannot talk about healthy foods the whole day. We should also talk about the physical activities we do. We keep that keeps our body healthy, keep the heart healthy, strengthens our muscles and bones, helps maintain a healthy weight, reduce stress, improves our overall fitness. Guys, just take a walk. Even a walk it adds benefits to our health. So even a run, even a jog, even in the morning you can walk to school. It adds benefit to your life. Don't get lazy to walk, guys. Even just to take 5 minutes walk out of the yard to freshen your mental health. But guys, our time is almost up.
Running can be hard sometimes. But guys, before time is up, can I tell you guys a story? So when I was young, I used to eat beans, and then I was not feeling well. My grandma took me to the hospital. Then the doctor said, no, she must stop eating beans. My grandma was like, what the hell? What do you mean by the girl must stop eating beans? What will she eat? Beans is the only way to go. But when I went home, she just did this traditional thing, like think my stomach, something like that. And then I started eating beans. But you guys, you must give your kids beans. It's nice. It's healthy.
Really?
Yeah.
In conclusion, Helena, nutrition is one of the most important parts of our healthy lifestyle. Healthy foods.
You are telling the.
Okay, guys, listen. In conclusion, nutrition is one of our most important parts of our healthy lifestyle. Healthy foods provide our bodies with the nutrients we need to grow, stay active, and fight diseases. Although unhealthy foods may taste good, eating too much of them can lead to serious health problems. Let us make better food choices by eating balanced meals, drinking enough water, exercising regular. Okay.
Otori korashi hapu na ShopRite okupi homoini mangashi okukwaye kilograma dirine the real good chicken frozen mixed portions okay dorashike omavera vali nungoi nesenda omirongo ngoi nungoi oitera imwe yo machine wo clover full cream ilo low fat milk UHT process ili mwa amano mokapakete okay dora efere no mirongo na amano nesenda omirongo ngoi nungoi oshoyo kilograma dirina tu do right brand macaroni omenashike doro mirongo amano na mbali nesenda omirongo ngoi nungoi enda tweti odina shikongushe vyo matuku atano a July odura oyo twei yanga tashi hapu na ShopRite.
Shortly after that, just a quick commercial break or ad break interruption. It's not interruption, it's just Eagle FM paying the bills, and I'll just pass it back to the lady so that they're gonna conclude at least what they're saying. Conclude, so then we can pick it up from there with Home Run. And please stay tuned.
We are back again. It's Mika and Helena. Guys, let us make our better food choices by eating balanced meal, drinking enough water, exercising regular, and encouraging our families and friends to live healthier. That's why we are doing awareness on nutrition. What is the reason? Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have learned the importance of healthy and unhealthy nutrition. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to give it off to Helena to sign out.
Okay, guys. This was us from the Witani Radio, proudly working with Childline Lifeline Namibia. Remember, if you or someone needs help or protection, don't hesitate to reach us out. An emergency number 911, and I repeat 911. We are always here to help. That was from us, Helena and Michaela. Have a wonderful day. Stay healthy, eat wisely, and remember, good nutrition is the foundation of a healthy future. Thank you.
A special thank you to our sponsors, UNICEF Namibia and the European Union, for making this program possible. I'm Mika. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and goodbye.
Stay healthy and stay safe. That's from Mikael and Helena. And my first favorite part of the presentation is the healthy and unhealthy part. My second favorite part is listening to Helena being young as she is, starting with her story with when I was young. And I'm like, really? And you're still young? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies, for educating us on that wonderful health discussion. And hope to see you again next time. And this is Eagle FM. Thank you very much for joining us this wonderful Friday. And we'll continue on the other side with Home Run as usual. Please stay tuned.
Eagle FM lets you express your constitutional rights of freedom of expression without fear of favor.
This is actually, to put it mildly, an economic scandal.
Fraud.
Not fraud, it's a scandal. Why do you give a tender to somebody who does not have capacity to build? Why should you do that? You know a person that doesn't have the capacity to build.
Eagle FM lets you talk.
That's why I'm always telling people in Parliament, let me not take up my Katatura menace.
Right.
Because I grew up in Katatura. And I will not hesitate to tell you off if it is needed to do.
Be part of the debate by setting the agenda.
My response in terms of Rwanda at 6% is that we had been there before. We've had 6% growth before. It's not something that Namibia has not achieved in the past, and it's not something that Namibia will not be able to achieve in the future.
Eagle FM, the eye.
Lipuranengelo wapumbwa eva tere ulikoni maundu tutoingida ashike kapeno nweku dite opoye ekukulile. Oshafafana nongeshe faili meholamo ihoetike kovano ile koshiwana. Onongeshe fa yapumbo kukaraya kovano. Okupitiramo Eagle FM otuna mitoda njuka okukwetera oipindi konu konda doili nawa. Minudo otukwetera o special ngeta shake ngeshefa omarudi dayo loka opone ushendi fenawa nokumona oijabweli nawa ningepata fanona Monica ko Eagle FM onora itatu imwe bali heali nola natu heali bali no heali ile ko berewa mura hetatu natu bali o hetatu batatu o mafelane Eagle FM the eye.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I am planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Saima, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081-270-3727 or the office number 083-288-400. Eagle FM, the eye.
Lipuranengelo wapumbwa eva tere ulikoni maundu tutoingida ashike kapeno nweku dite opoye ekukulile. Oshafafana nongeshe faili meholamo ihoetike kovano ile koshiwana. Onongeshe fa yapumbo kukaraya kovano. okupitiramo Eagle FM otuna emitoda njuka okukwetera oipindi konu kondado inawa nuneudo otukwetera o special ngetashake ngeshefa omarudi dayoloka opone ushendife nawa nokumona oijamweli nawa ningepata fanona monika ko Eagle FM onora etatu imwe mbali heali nola natu heali mbali no heali ile komberewa nora hetatu natu mbali o hetatu batatu o mafelane Eagle FM the eye.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Saima, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081-270-3727 or the office number 083-2888-400. Eagle FM, the eye.
Welcome back, or more like welcome now to Home Run with Helmut and Dwight. As usual, we're here until the hour of, I'm really been saying until the hour of 6 for a while now, and that has become a part of my muscle memory. And now, now that the show has been extended to the hour of 7, we still have a lot of time to talk about today's Home Run topic, which is it's a land-based discussion, not a land-based discussion as in an onshore and offshore discussion, onshore and offshore discussion. No, not that type of. It's today we decided to look at what Africa is doing in terms of land distribution, more like a land discussion in general. Namibia itself is is not new to the interesting part of everything land discussion, in a reference to land post-colonialism. Land post-colonialism. We're having a whole different discussions. And Namibia itself, we have had two land conferences, one in 1991 and 1992, but one that I witnessed and was able to participate a bit somewhat virtually. And just reading through documents is the second land conference that took place in 2018. So the question is, when we talk about industrialization or everything development related on the African continent, we more often talk about infrastructure development and infrastructure and anything development-wise from industrial to basically, especially infrastructure development. You cannot talk about infrastructure development, or let me just say, you cannot talk about any development without talking about land, and you cannot talk about infrastructure without talking about land. And today is one of those discussions that we're going to have, but the land discussion we're going to have today is going to be our main source of reference is going to be the report of the Commission of Inquiries into Claims of Ancestral Land Rights and Restitutions. I have never actually read this report until you shared it, Dwight. And yeah. I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, now, here's the thing. That's a fault on my side. Sorry, man. Look, the thing is, guys, get yourself this document. I can't recommend it enough because I have always had a suspicion because of this Somali trademark, some East African trademark on my face, the forehead, that I'm from East Africa. And the report basically, now this report proved that I'm right. Yeah, because it does talk about different subgroups of the Namibian landscape and their historical backgrounds as to, in terms of immigration or migration. So it turns out my fellow Kavangos, we can be traced to East Africa. And if you're a Kavango and if you have a big forehead, congratulations. That's just ancestral trademark. We're doing great. So the ancestral land discussion is one that is also a very, I don't like to use the word touchy. It's just that people used to, we like to look at it as a touchy subject. It's part of our history, whether we like it or not. It happened. So the fact that there was a whole, a commission, basically commissioned to go and and interview people all around the country, because the whole of chapter 6 is full of testimonies of people all across the country that were discussed, that were asked by the commission, which then their response and their point of views on the ancestral land discussion was compiled into pretty much the entire chapter 6 of the report. And the whole land discussion, obviously, you cannot have it without going back to Namibia's 106 years of 106 years of colonial history. Jeez.
I think it should be a little bit longer, because if we obviously start from the point, Helmut, let's say what's the guy? That Landred Ludritz, Adolf Ludritz. Is it Adolf or Alfred?
I hope it's not Adolf.
And there were a lot of Adolfs back then. Adolf was like. Okay, what other common Namibian name is there today? Adolf is Adolf back then was like. But it's like David. I had to go for David.
It's like Simasiku in Zambezi.
I'm saying a common first name, not Simasiku last name. But even though I've met a Simasiku,
every region has a name that that's somewhat every region has a name that needs a moratorium, and I think the whole of Namibia needs a moratorium on the name Junior.
No, but Junior is in more cases a nickname.
Someone thought it was a brilliant idea to just junior everyone.
Yes, but Helmut, that is if there's Helmut Senior and Helmut Junior. Then Junior just gets juniored. And then like the joke that my sister and we still laugh at, because at my younger brother's wedding.
Yeah.
Because if the senior still is still living there, and there is a junior there, the junior will always be referenced as Helmut Junior.
Yeah.
So my sister went and referenced my cousin, who is a junior to his father, but in Afrikaans it sounds a little bit more junior than the junior part.
Than the junior in
English.
English.
The English junior. Because in Afrikaans we say if it's like Helmut Senior, Helmut Junior, then we say Groot Helmut, Klein Helmut. Groot Helmut, Klein Helmut, because Groot Helmut is the older one.
Mm-hmm.
So it references, older, the senior one. So now that's the unfortunate thing with my cousin and his father. So there at the reception of my brother's wedding, my sister goes like, "Hey, Junior, how are you going? And how are you doing? And all that stuff." And then he decides to turn around and say it. But he's talking, when people make those remarks about they don't like something, but they say it just there in the wind to say, I don't like it when people call me this. Now, he literally said that sentence like, I don't like it when people still call me Junior around here. And then I laughed when my sister told me the story, and then I said, is he dumb? His dad is still alive, so he will still be Junior. Doesn't matter if it's a younger cousin or older cousin. But we got an ad break, guys. Coming back.
Join us for the Ehangano Concert Volume 2 with Ali Tobias. Experience an unforgettable evening featuring songs from her latest album, A Bilo, performed live with a full band. Special guest appearances by Tate Boti, D.A., Page, and One Accord. All proceeds from the event will go towards supporting the Our Lady Orphanage. The event takes place on 4 July 2026 at the National Theatre of Namibia. Tickets are available on Web Tickets Namibia for $450 Namibian. Don't miss this powerful night of music, inspiration, and giving back. Ehangano Concert Volume 2. See you there.
So coming back, ask the question, Hamid, that you just spoke about, because it speaks to the land discussion. Just ask the question now again.
Okay, man. I can picture, bushes in places where you just want me to picture them. Anyway, I was
there's a lot of old photos if you know where to look for example, like at the archives.
Yeah. Now, this conversation is coming from, the off-mic conversation, or in this case now that we have started. Okay, there's no off-camera because, they're always running. But the thing is, the off-mic discussion is, just me trying to build my Afrikaans vocabulary. I've been trying, believe me. And the question I asked was, so klein means small.
Yes.
So there's a big windhoek and there's a klein, biggie klein windhoek.
Well, it's not Biggie Klein.
Uh-huh.
Because it's technically the oldest neighborhood, that you can assume in Windhoek.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously referencing the historical discussion in our talk today, dear listeners. So I explained to Helmut now when he asked this question about the klein, groot differences and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of photos, Helmut, from these archival photos. Now there's an account of a guy, a local Namibian, from the Namibian German community, that he posts on his Facebook page, and I decided to follow him because I love historical photos. I love anything that speaks to a yesteryear, a period of yesterday, that shows people different dress codes, what the place looked like then versus now.
Yes, now, yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of photos he posted at one stage now of that shows Windhoek. Now there's for Namibians to understand what Windhoek looked like first. So there was the fort, this fort that became the museum, here next to Windhoek High School.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at it, if you understand, for example, like in strategic defensive positions, the fort was literally on a hill. It is on a hill.
Yeah.
Where it's standing, it's on a hill.
Because you have to, because you're basically, you are literally going down as you drive towards the Independence Avenue.
You're going up here from the studio, you're going upwards, and you're going downwards with Sam Nujoma. With Sam Nujoma
as you go to Independence.
Exactly. So, when Independence existed as well, the one photo that I saw was that literally you had that German church that was erected in 1921 or 1921. The Christuskirche, which technically just means the Church of Christ. Just to let you guys know, you can technically translate directly in certain German names.
I did not pronounce it.
So it's technically the Church of Christ. It's basic translation, and where the fort is, which is, just a small distance between them. Now the photo showed an earlier version of Independence Avenue. Now, there were no houses. Where you see Windhoek West, Nast, Hoogland Park, Goederse.
Yeah.
There were no houses there. It was just bush and hills. Just bush and hills. From Independence, if you look at Independence, let's say you imagine now you're standing literally at the fort, and you can look. You're standing at the church, and you can look down at the four-way, or that Independence four-way. You've got Zoo Park, Sanlam, the new F&B building, and the Koester Vogt shopping center.
Yeah.
and you're looking down that street. Imagine for yourself, Helmut, that between the church and the fort was bush. Between the church and where Independence was just bush. The only buildings in Independence were the buildings that were facing you, meaning, so imagine now that four-way had like small, imagine a Western movie, small wooden structures, a single maximum double-story structures that spanned next to that particular street. One of our clients, Woermanbroek, was who they've got the building on the corner, opposite City of Windhoek and opposite Hilton.
Yeah.
There's a building literally on that corner, and then you've got that's now the Sam Nujoma and Independence intersection.
Yeah.
That building is the oldest building in the street, next with the Gustav Vogt Center. Because those two they were general traders. They were the two general traders in the street. They were the only businesses there. Independence literally ended where you could see the fort and the church. That's how. But Independence
had an end.
No, but yeah, Independence had an end. But Independence also had a different name. For if you meet anyone that has lived in Windhoek long enough since pre-independence, is that Independence's old name was Kaiser Krone.
Caesar who?
Kaiser Krone, the king Kaiser Krone Straße. That was the thing's main name.
Oh.
So, yeah, Caesar who? King's crown or Caesar's crown, basically, because Krone technically means crown. So, from Independence this direction to where our studio stands, Klein Windhoek.
Mm-hmm.
Klein Windhoek was the first technically like residential sort of like thing. Everything else came later on. All the other suburbs, neighborhoods that you see here of Windhoek, of specifically this Windhoek East, Windhoek West, Hoogland Park situation, everybody else came later on. Now, this also speaks to this particular ancestral land commission report that I shared with you for our discussion for today, because it's one of the things also, Helmut, that we've never really done justice on in terms of tackling this discussion.
Yeah.
I've spoken to one of the commissioners way back in 2023. JP, he's in the photo, and then I recognized my own cousin there in the photo as well. And I was like, was she part of the commission? But yeah. So the indication, obviously, that stems from this commission's report is that they realized the ancestral lands discussion isn't as straightforward.
Oh, no, it's not.
I mean, the Judge Uitela literally says in his foreword of the report that it's a narrow approach. The label ancestral lands is a narrow approach to take, because they literally uncovered, for example, like I've highlighted in previous conversations, that, for example, like my personal history of like on my mother's side, there is it's not an aspect of ancestral lands, but it's more an aspect of like dispossession. Because have you heard of the story of some of them were born in Germany, but it's like now recently. It's people from Togo or Gambia, a woman and her siblings and her children, that the German government wants to strip them of their citizenship, German citizenship. But they claimed citizenship on heritage, because she could prove that she does have colonial German heritage. Now,
was she born in Germany?
No, she moved there based on that notion, because she was issued a citizenship and passport in the country that she's from, that she moved from, but she could prove heritage.
Yeah.
And her children were born in Germany as well. Now, Germany recently had this court case against her, and then they wanted to strip her and her children and her siblings of citizenship. Because in the process of receiving another country's citizenship, you have to denounce your current citizenship.
Yeah.
Now, there is also a scenario where many Namibians technically This is not to promote this immigration system of Germany, but many Namibians that have German descent can also do the same thing. Probably it's not the most advisable thing under the current climate still, because because we do have a greatly unresolved chapter with Germany, even though in the realm of I almost said welfare, but it's not welfare. In the realm of trying to of recompense, of trying to amend what they caused or created.
More like make amends?
Yeah, make amends, basically. You obviously see that many of these particular projects and this focus on Namibia is a lot more stronger, and it has become strong. And I took a photo, Helmut, of literally something that also impacts the discussion overall. So earlier today, one of the print media publications have a full page. Okay, it's not a full page. Full page because every time I forget my newspaper background. It's not a full page, but it's more, like a 2/3 of the page ad. Just want to show you what it looks like. No, read the thing. I'm showing you because you have to read the thing of what it does. So, this page, this particular ad, also highlights the particular focus in terms of how the German government and the Namibian government technically are trying to work to achieve Namibia's particular developmental goals. But this is in reference, this particular advert, to consultancy services that speaks towards assisting in it's a broad stakeholder, when I say broad, this actually speaks to so broad a stakeholder engagement, Helmut, regarding the upgrading of the settlements of Aus, Ludritz, and there's a third one. Can you just reference it for me, Helmut? It's Aus and Ludritz, and there's a third one that they're talking about. It's like in the first paragraphs.
First paragraph, I have the English one, and you have. That's just a lot. Okay, no, I thought the first paragraph was all in German. Turns out that's just
the name.
GIZ.
Yeah, that's just GIZ's name. Yeah. Okay, if you find where it says Aus and Ludritz.
Okay, I have Ludritz, Aus by strengthening their capacity to manage independence effectively. Okay, I'm just seeing Aus and Ludritz here.
Yeah. So remember 2 years back now, before the 8th administration, former finance minister Shimi announced the targeted budgetary allocations to help Aus and Ludritz basically upgrade their urban settlement status.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It comes back to this discussion primarily because it comes back in a way of also how I am showing you the benevolence of, trying to make amends of prior history, because these two particular places basically were sort of like the first contact points between indigenous Namibians and German settlers at that time. Now, fast forwarding obviously to a broader discussion. So last year, remember when Vice President Witbooi was at that the theme, the AU's theme on just what was the thing still on reparations for colonialism. Remember that theme? But she was there from talking because it was more nuanced based on women's participation in this discussion, where the Vice President highlighted that many African countries are actually seeing Namibia as a role model in terms of how Namibia talks directly with a country like Germany that was its former colonial
colony.
Former colonial master. But we also forget that South Africa was also colonial master in the same span. But we obviously see that South Africa's particular benevolence is more aligned towards the businesses are here, they are employing Namibians. You see it, yes, their banks are here. So wherever if South Africa flies somewhere, Namibia flies with in one or other international aspect. So you already see that. It's not to say that South Africa's role is not done or incomplete or completed, but you already see this scenario. Now, I highlight this particular talking point, Helmut, because when we start off with the discussion of looking at ancestral land claims, and I shared with you the Gazette that is cited within, that gives the terms of reference for the commission. I shared it with you just so that you know specifically about that particular impact.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. When you read the terms of reference, the terms of reference are like basic standard stuff. You know, it's run of the mill things, but you also get a gauge of the severity of this research, because this is research. These guys had to go and do exploratory research for President Geingob. For President Geingob to understand, to see, to have an idea, to just sit with a notion in terms of understanding what's actually going on. Now, they had to, and I mean it's a massive document, 797 pages.
700 pages, yeah.
797.
So it's almost 800 pages.
Yeah, it's 300 pages, 3 pages shy of 800. So they had to look at
it's literally a history book.
On its own.
Yeah.
It's literally a book.
Yeah.
Here's the scope, Helmut. Just the scope that they had to look at. And this is from the glossary of terms and words. This is the glossary. This is how you can look at the scope. Affected communities. Immediately. Now that's most now number one.
Yeah.
Affected communities from the get-go. That basically speaks to everyone in Namibia. Then there was agricultural land, meaning they start looking at processes, you know, what under colonial periods, what were land, you know, what designations were applied to various portions of land. Then you had alienate. This obviously speaks towards, for example, like in my personal case from my mother's side, it was a scenario of alienation that took place. On one side, and this is how many Namibians also, when they look at heritage specifically, some cases, like what I've discovered, some Namibians will only speak about from a paternal perspective.
Yeah.
Forgetting that they had a mother.
Yeah, most cultures are very patriarchal.
Yeah. So they would speak from a patriarchal, paternal perspective, but forgetting the maternal contributions, what the mother had to do, or the endurance in terms of the suffering that the mother experienced. And one of the things that I always love, specifically when it comes to when commissions are appointed, is that I like and I actually appreciate when the legal representatives in the commission, they always start from a human rights-based perspective.
Yeah.
Because obviously we have most now a constitution as Namibia. Back then there was no constitution of Namibia. Back then there was no Namibia. Back then it was just known as Suidwest Africa, which then became under Afrikaans, with South Africans, Suidwest Africa. That's all Namibia was known as. The term for Namibia, Helmut, only came about in a encyclopedia series that my parents bought in the 80s, but it was written in the 70s. It's these encyclopedia, you know, they've got like multiple books following the alphabet. Namibia was referenced in 1983 before anyone actually used the name Namibia officially to register Namibia with. The unfortunate thing is it's with my one sibling, that book series, so it's not within Dwight's capacity. Plus, it's also a pretty large collection of books to walk around. It's not easy to have that encyclopedia. But yeah.
Encyclopedias are usually voluminous.
No, Helmut, that book.
It's a collection.
That collection, if for anyone that's a reader, if you had something like that in your house, just in your personal library, I mean, just the level of knowledge of yesteryear. Obviously, technologies, new things moved on because it ended at a time just before Ronald Reagan became president of the US and Margaret Thatcher became prime minister of the UK. Or it ended just within that period because, obviously when you've collected the whole series, you don't need to buy an update. There's no software update you buy.
Nah.
You just sit with information at that time.
You're sitting with the originals.
At that time in history, you're sitting with information just like that. Now, the phrase alienate, they obviously also looked at in relation to agricultural land, which meant selling, exchange, donation, and otherwise various other forms of disposal of this land. And they obviously highlighted many things. Then there was alienation. Then came ancestral land. Obviously, the word claim is always there. Commercial farm, communal land, company, complete or partial restoration. Then there was customary land rights and the likes. Eminent domain, which basically translates to is a principle associated with the power of the state to expropriate or compulsorily, but lawfully and for reasons deemed to be in the public interest, acquire ownership of private property. This is usually under a doctrine of eminent domain, and what it constitutes and what constitutes public interest is also defined in that context. There was expropriation, foreign national, freehold, tenure, and title. And so they went on. They even covered the term of genocide, indigenous people, jurisprudence they looked into, and imprescriptible right, which is in law, if an individual does not exercise his or her right for a certain period of time, he or she will be deprived of that right or the power to exercise that right. For example, that comes up now with that thing that comes up with people that own big portions of land in other towns in Namibia. And then the town councils are now telling them, hey, listen, this land has been sitting vacant just there for 10 years.
Yeah.
So how about you start making your moves now?
Start using it.
Start making your moves now. So
don't just have it for swag.
Yeah, just don't let it look nice just on your portfolio of whatever you're portfolioing, but actually use the land. So that was one of the particular things, obviously, that can happen, and so you start seeing, okay, this is the massive scope of what they had to look at. Now, I want to quickly skip to where Judge Oetele highlighted the monumental task that they basically had to face as a committee, as a commission. Yeah, this is the particular part. No, I actually want to get to his part. Where am I? Yes. Okay, sorry, I'm under terms of reference and executive summary. I need to see his forward.
Okay, just find your forward.
Yeah.
Page 16, first paragraph. I'm telling you, just translate this thing in all native languages and put this in a history curriculum. It's an excellent piece of read. Page 16, first paragraph. Because they basically start off with the history of different subgroups and the history of the history of the land itself and how the name Southwest Africa came to be. And that part now, that's one of those many parts I did not know about the history of my own country, which is embarrassing, including the history of my own region.
No. It does show where the information technically is. It's not hidden. It's just like it's like basic advertising exercise, Helmut.
Yeah.
People will not buy your product if people don't know that your product exists. Now it's the same thing also specifically when we look at like knowledge and history of a place or an item or of an event. And it's these particular exercises. It's these things that you and I we've been talking about. People don't promote things. Okay, besides now the Fisheries Observer Board not reporting for 10 years on activities.
That was intentional.
No one can defend you guys there.
No, they can't defend.
I mean, you guys were pulling salaries and...
Someone wanted to buy an iPhone with 2 SIM cards. So they just decided, you know what, just keep it shut.
We don't want to appear on local media. Anakam, they appear on international media.
I know, right? I was like, hey, lower your voice. Who says lower your voice when they're sitting in front of a camera?
You say, no, we don't want to appear on local media, but you go and appear on international media of all places. And then things become worse because international media people were like, it's sad, did you hear your country is in the news? My country? For doing what?
Look, I watch that documentary at least once a month. And my favorite part to this day still is the part where one of them is, was outside Namibia. Speaking on transparency. When the Al Jazeera when the Al Jazeera guys with their cameras came to him and started showing him videos of him in the Fishery documentary, I was like, you are here preaching transparency, but you are here doing this.
Are you being transparent?
I was like, no, that's not me. That's not. But it looks like it. It's me, but it's not me. I need to get to the bottom of this. Like, Sure. But look, I have several parts that which are my favorite. One is lower your voice. The second part is, someone's lawyer doing this. It's a good thing we have cameras. someone's lawyer doing this.
Look at you swapped over to me.
Wait, did I swap to you?
I think so.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
So now you're showing.
So I can demonstrate.
Okay.
Look, shout out to HD. This camera is a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, when there was when a media briefing on this report was held in 28 March 2019, one thing that Judge Witele pointed out was it's more of a call to action, or just may you please, in reference to the media, that this report has a lot of important information. Just share it, and the media, we compile this information. We put it in. We collected this information and put it in one document that's readable. So it's you take it from here. Just distribute and share this information with as far and wide, nationwide as you can. Yeah. Now back to my page 16. Before you, did you find your point?
Yeah, I found it, but you can still continue.
Yeah. Now, just the part that I'm, the part that I'm gonna, I'm just gonna read the first paragraph of page 16. Pardon me. In 1856, the Danish traveler and explorer Charles John Anderson, in his geographical report, also makes a reference of his journey through Ngamiland. Now, these are parts of Botswana, and in parts Ngamiland and in parts of southwestern Africa, and this gave rise to the name Southwest Africa, by which Namibia became known during the colonial period. The name Southwest Africa, the South Africans did not come up with it. The Danish came up with it.
Well, that's also how you get to understand, Helmut, that one of the earliest sort of like European settlements before Lüderitz was technically the whaling station where Walvis Bay is.
Hence whale.
Hence the name, Whale Bay, Walvis Bay. Now, whaling, obviously, like you've explained back then with the Vaseline guy, the Vaseline founder.
Poor guy.
Remember that he worked first with whale blubber.
Yeah.
Now, whales provided so many industrial products for who? During the first industrial revolutions, people in the northern hemisphere, they extracted so many resources, specifically from whales.
Yeah.
Now, Walvis Bay technically was a spawning point for whales. It was a breeding point for them. And one of the ugly sides of why we have nature conservation activities in the modern day period emanates from the literal over harvesting, specifically from animals like whales.
So when we figure out a resource, we just hunt it to extinction.
Yeah, we just zone in on it and just go wild with extraction, which is obviously one of the biggest conundrums that no one actually wants to answer. Even if you look at interesting economic discussions. Obviously, please don't reference Diary of a CEO. Please, guys. Please don't reference Diary of a CEO. Whatever you do, don't reference that guy, because he actually doesn't ask the questions.
Yeah.
His questions are more leading than more trying to uncover.
Trying to understand what.
Yeah. Literally trying to narrow it down for the viewer, the listener to, okay, now we need to understand what is the actual origin of something. For example, you highlighted it's actually the Danish. It's a Danish explorer that gallivanted here through Africa.
Yeah.
Now, it's some of the particular key things that obviously popped up, even before the Germans. Like, remember the story I told you about Lake Oshikoto?
Yeah.
Was discovered by two guys who thought they reached a similar cave, because Lake Oshikoto was technically a cave.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to find a cave that was actually in a direct line, like 200 to 300 kilometers in Botswana.
Mm-hmm.
when they reached this
You
cave,
get
they thought
so
they
much
were in
more
Botswana.
with the ShopRite price because
Without
we
actually
buy in
understanding.
bulk and pass the savings on to you. Save on 4 kg Real Good Chicken frozen mixed portions for 209 Namibian dollars 99. 6 by 1 liter Clover full cream or low fat milk UHT process for only 136 Namibian dollars 99 per pack. And 3 kg Right Brand macaroni for a low 62 Namibian dollars 99. Deals valid until 5 July 2026. Get so much more with the ShopRite price. You get so much more with the ShopRite price because we buy in bulk and pass the savings on to you. Save on 4 kg Real Good Chicken frozen mixed portions for 209 Namibian dollars 99. 6 by 1 liter Clover full cream or low fat milk UHT process for only 136 Namibian dollars 99 per pack. And 3 kg Right Brand macaroni for a low 62 Namibian dollars 99. Deals valid until 5 July 2026. Get so much more with the ShopRite price.
Welcome back. 60 minutes into the hour of 5. You're listening to Home Run with Helmed and Dwight on Eagle FM. As always, we used to be here until the hour of 6. Now we're here until the hour of 7. So we still have ample of time. And believe me, we're sitting here with 700 pages. We have all the information.
Content. Don't you worry. We've got content.
Yeah.
So yeah. Even like the Lake Oshikoto discussion.
Yeah.
It wasn't two German guys, it was two Dutch guys, but they were Germanic in a way, from Northern Europe.
Mhm.
Two explorers that were trying to find a cave system
in Botswana.
But they came across this cave system that was Lake Oshikoto first.
Mhm.
So just for you guys, if you don't know, Lake Oshikoto technically started out as a cave, which collapsed into itself, which then created this. It's technically a sinkhole, Hamlet, in essence. Lake Oshikoto, Lake Guinas are sinkholes.
Okay, when you put it that way, it brings up a very scary picture, at least in my head, of us using the aquifer.
Underground water, yeah. So, when you see these scenarios, you realize this is technically, it's first and foremost, if you speak to a geologist, geologists will tell you that Namibia's vegetation, Namibia's geography is ancient.
I mean, we have the oldest desert, so
Yes.
makes sense.
So, from a basis of natural history, that's what they call natural history, geography. From a basis of natural history, Namibia is ancient. Namibia's shorelines, and there where the guys are busy with the oil exploration in the sea.
Yeah.
Those guys know that the pictures look the same for as old as this part of Southern Africa has been old. And if you guys don't know, apparently, Africa is also slowly splitting into two parts. Do you know about that part?
Yeah, it is splitting the side of east parts of Africa.
Yeah. So Africa is slightly splitting into two, meaning a new ocean might be
Is
formed.
gonna be in between.
Or new sea.
But don't worry, you know.
Yeah, you guys won't be here. Don't worry. Most of us.
Oh, come on, sympathize with Christians. You'll be looking at it from heaven or hell. Anyway,
Well,
go on.
no, not heaven. Well, no. So, yeah. In terms of natural history, this part has just been the same. Obviously, before the humans, and now with the humans included.
Yeah.
Now, from that particular scenario, the underground water is also not always the best. Like, the first time I heard that there's actually water below, there's a water table under Windhoek.
Mhm.
And this was when? 2012, 2013, thereabout. And then it was explained parts of the water is not fit for human consumption. Hence the name of Brakwater. Yeah, outside Windhoek.
Mhm.
Hence the name, because it's that kind of water. It's water that...
It's hard water.
No, it's not hard water. It's not fit for human consumption. Animals won't even drink it. Animals won't drink the water.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of things are very soluble in water. It's simple chemistry. That means where you are going to find, especially when it comes to underground water, because we are going to find water underground is going to contain a lot of, call it, impurities that is coming from the rocks where the water finds itself in. So different water, that's what makes different underground water different in taste and color. There's this place called Muthinduko in Kavango East region. Yeah, it's about, I think, 15 to 20 kilometers west of Divundu. Now, the thing is, anyone that has been at that place knows that the water is pumped through a borehole. It's pumped underground, and the thing is, the water comes out with an orange-ish color, but it's tasteless. Now, it's not that the water is dirty. It's the rocks that the water is in. So it's what gives the underground water its color and taste. So some of it, if the rocks are too salty, then the water is just going to be too salty to use for anything, not for drinking, not for farming. So it just be water that will be using there, like ocean water.
And from that particular picture that you just now explained, so the geography had been ancient. Namibia is still an ancient country in terms of just the geography itself. And if you now speed up the process in this direction in terms of just the time period, you also get to understand specifically how often it was something that technically was not claimed. If you could think about it in terms of a scenario of being lucky that the British didn't claim us, or being lucky in a way that we weren't colonized as early as Angola to the north, but Zimbabwe and Zambia, and South Africa fully, because it seemed like we were constantly just missed. We were like this channeling through. But there's another side to that history that's also not spoken of much.
Which is?
In terms of the people that stayed here, for example. What many people also forget is that many of the group, which is the other side, not narrative, but the other side of the human history discussion where, for example, Hamud, you remember that group that I cited to you that have the click name, the Kiriku?
Yeah.
Are they in Kavango East or in Zambezi?
Yeah, Kavango East.
East, ne?
Yeah.
So this obviously now stems to the discussion of the indigenous label in Namibia. And in many scenarios, people were pushed from various zones, slightly north of Angola specifically, and some zones also from the east, for example. Because just referencing the migrations in Africa that took place. Now, these are some of the things also that, unfortunately, the commission at one stage they had to take into consideration as well, because there are discussions obviously of ancestral lands, and it's must now based upon weighing up who suffered more to assess the category of suffering of colonialism, but then also what was the picture before colonialism. Now, the picture before colonialism is the tricky one because most of the people that recorded it were European.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sent so many documents specifically of things that happened during the. There was also a weird thing that happened in South Africa, specifically when the British took over the Cape Town, or the Cape Colony as it was called at that time. So the British started imposing British laws that the Dutch settlers did not like, which then forced the Dutch settlers to start moving out of the Cape Colony. And as they moved out, Helmut, whose territory were they moving into? Into indigenous territories. Now, it's one of the reasons I've got most that book. Remember that book I explained to you, the one about the lie of 1658 or 1652? One of the two. The year that Jan van Riebeeck lands. Because the author in the book says, in the book, many people associate South Africa's actual history with the landing of Jan van Riebeeck and his wife, Maria de la Qualery, at the Cape at
Maria del what now?
De la Quala de la Quarrel de la Qualer.
De la Cholera. Continue.
Yeah, not de la Quala. Maria de la Qualery. Yeah, that's her name. De la Qualery. Because at that stage, you remember, it was literally just not after, but way after. What's her name? The first Queen of England. What's her name? The lady. Elizabeth I. After she, after she basically sort of like, what's that word? She literally minimized the power of Spain in Europe. Remember that because the power of Spain was literally in its navy.
Yeah.
And because Spain lost that fight with the British in that discussion, now the Dutch were a colony, were technically not a colony, but like an extension province of the Spanish crown.
Yeah.
That's hence the reason why Jan van Riebeeck's wife literally had a highly southern European surname, de la Qualery. So, from that perspective, obviously, the author in the book, Patrick Derek Mallet, he obviously asserts that, look, you've got to go past the landing of Jan van Riebeeck at the Cape of Good Hope. Now, if you fast forward things, he explains in that particular book. Now, this is things that actually leads to how Namibia also gets colonized, Helmut, because the Dutch settlers, when they settled, and after the two wars that the Dutch and the English had with each other, and the English won in both scenarios, was that now the English started imposing now British laws in the Cape of Good Hope. Then they started pushing these laws and changes, and these other particular things started pushing the Dutch farmers, settler farmers, into the indigenous territories outside the Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah.
So if you go to places in South Africa, for example, like Outeniqua is literally an indigenous name. But it's not the actual name. Because like Gobabis' name is not Gobabis. It's supposed to be Kwandabes. Mariental's name is not Mariental or Mariental as it's written because it's got a umlaut. Remember, they speak about renaming in this report as well.
Yeah.
Mariental's name is Tsaragaibes. So there's also these particular nuances. Windhoek's name is not Windhoek. It's Khaigams.
Like the festival?
Yeah, its name is Khaigams or Khaigams. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot my nama greatly, even though I have the surname. So, if you look at these scenarios, and you obviously look at why it was settled on Windhoek, because obviously Jan Jonker Afrikaner, the senior, he could speak Proto-Dutch. Proto-Dutch was that precursor of Afrikaans at the time. Proto-Dutch, which is also the thing that, what's his name? Hendrik Witbooi wrote his book, because I've got the Hendrik Witbooi's book as well, the one that is written from his diary.
Yeah.
He wrote in Proto-Dutch as well. So this particular indication gave people a notion in terms of, okay, so what were the people like, who were the people, and all these particular things. Now the commission, just to add into that point, what the commission realized through, and this is what Judge Oitele writes in his sort of like foreword, he states here, I'll read one paragraph that shows this. He states here, Your Excellency, as alluded to earlier, the Commission has attempted to capture the diverse voices of our countrymen and women during the many public consultation and hearing sessions. Having listened, read, and thoroughly analyzed the oral as well as the written testimony submitted to the Commission, and having done the requisite critical investigations and considerations of the relevant literature before arriving at our final findings and recommendations, the Commission can with confidence say that this report has laid sufficient ground for the government in consultation with the country. It then follows on, and I'm going to into subsections of that foreword of his. So I'm going to subsection C, where he says that while the main issue of the inquiry was ancestral land, the reason they were appointed was to investigate the notion, the expanse, and where this idea of ancestral land comes from and what it and the impact it can have if adopted in one way or another. He said the oral testimonies and the written submissions submitted to the commission raised issues that may seem as not falling within the narrow ambit of ancestral land, but which indirectly have implications on ancestral land rights claims and restitution. Now I end there, but taking you back to subsection A.
Repeat that last part.
That while the main issue of the inquiry was ancestral land,
Yeah.
the oral testimonies and the written submissions submitted to the commission raised issues that may seem as not falling within the narrow ambit of the ancestral land scope, but which indirectly have implications on ancestral land rights claims and restitution. Meaning that, for example, if I explain the scenario that, like in my personal case, on the one side, this is not my mother, just my mother.
Yeah.
On the one side, my mother's father can claim some sort of through my mother's father's direction. I can claim a discussion of restitution here in the Otjozon Chupa region, specifically there around the Ochu Omaruru area, specifically, not the Otjiwarongo area. Even though my grandfather and his twin brother were registered in Otjiwarongo. Now that also speaks towards a specific scenario there. Then you get to my mother's father, my mother's mother, and the scenario there. They come there from the Arwap area. Now, here's the nuance, Helmut. The town of Arwap, technically, 100 years ago, the town of Arwap was technically a farm. It was a farm so big, it literally was. It included the town. It included the town limits of Arwap. The one side of it was sold off, and the other dimension was literally, it was given to other, it was broken up into other farms there in the local area.
Yeah.
Now this is obviously speaking towards a scenario post the genocide chapter, and obviously post the First World War scenario, because this is now obviously my grandmother's father, but what happened to her and her siblings and her mother? Because under German law, a union between an African and a German subject at the time, a German imperial subject, was not permitted nor highlighted.
Yeah.
Now that's why I highlight to you what's currently happened with that African woman there in Germany who got stripped of the citizenship.
Yeah.
Because she traced lineage, she traced heritage back to a colonial period. And then the German court who stripped her of the German citizenship today literally applied a colonial law to strip for the stripping action.
That's not good precedence.
But if the law is active, if Germany just inherited laws from their previous, let's say their previous constitutional phases, then it means that the law is still applicable.
The reason why that is a very terrible and a very, very, very terrible precedence is especially in think of it as especially in terms of developing countries.
Yeah,
you're talking about setting a type of precedence where where every military guy, for example, can come to office, and what's the two things that people that how when someone first of all that is not planning on leaving the executive office anytime soon.
Yeah.
Soon, first of all, more often, most of them take that office by force. That's one. The second thing is they take over the media. Once they start tightening a grip on the media, the next one to come will be the judiciary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So laws, communication.
Once you dissolve the constitution and come up with one that you are basically overseeing in more often your own personal, a personal perspective on what things should sound like.
Yeah.
And you can basically do what, Trump spent the entire part of his second administration doing, putting people that will not say no to him in pretty much every high position that you can think of.
And basically going against the constitution of the country, which technically says he should not do that.
Yeah. Now, the thing is,
he shouldn't appoint people that literally are willing to technically break the law.
Yeah, there are appointment procedures in place, and Dwight, if I'm in public office, there's a reason why surrounding yourself with people that agree with you, that will agree with you on everything, is it's a no-go hiring procedure for any institution, because it's a terrible idea. Only just even if you are a nice person, which more often they are not, and you surround yourself with people that don't question anything that you do. Because they know that if you question anything that anything that you are telling them, you'll just replace them with someone who will not say no. What that does is you are going to surround yourself with a lot of educated individuals. Academically, they will have all kinds of PhDs, but the thing is, they are not telling you what is good for the country, and that more often is going to build a lot of anger for the general public. But the thing is, in reference to Germany, they're doing their things. I'm sure, I'll assume they know what they're doing. Yeah. But the thing is, the reference it's setting is not a very good one, because, first of all, this is a country that's still having discussions. This is a country that's still having discussions around reparation with a lot of countries that it occupied, and Namibia included. So what's going to happen when a lot of countries that were colonized by either Germany, France, the British? What happens when they start, using old laws of land acquisition, for example, and they start applying it today? Okay, now the first
thing... the laws exist their side, ne?
Yeah, the laws exist their side. Now, the thing is, when you say that, during colonial time, there was this and this and this and this ways of acquiring land. You know what most Africans will tell you? Before you came up with your colonial constitution, we had our own ways of doing things. Let's apply those.
Yeah.
And you have a very historically interesting piece of history unfold. So I'm not sure why they would do that, but I don't see any rational legal point of view of why they would do that. Except one that is just, it doesn't make sense. I'm trying here.
I mean, it's okay. This is one of the funny things, because you won't find the particular story, for example, so easily unless you go to the German state broadcaster Deutsche Welle. Mm-hmm. It's literally this first video that I'm showing you. Just don't play the video, Helmut. But no, if you read the thumbnail, what it says there. Now,
look, considering how to use their own language, right wing Europe is becoming right now, this is not unheard of.
Yeah, but it's a scenario that they created themselves, obviously, because we can't take responsibility for things that they created themselves for themselves, to the negative, detrimental to the positive influence they obviously want to give their citizens.
Look, this is part of the problem that I have with Europe and North America, especially the groups that are more often classified as far right. We want a white only environment. Let's go back to our traditional way of doing things, where we don't have a lot of dilutions in our cultures and languages and ways of doing things. You do realize we have Africans and we have political parties on the African continent with the exact same mentality. Mm. Now, the next thing you know, you have Zimbabwe under Mugabe on your hands. Mm. Yeah, because they'll just be saying, you know what, we missed the time when there were only black people here. Let's have just black people and everyone else go back where they came from. You see, that's why I'm saying the president's being set. It's not one that talks into a unified global community.
Yeah.
It's one that talks about division to the core. And that's actually the opposite of what we would like to achieve with the integrated,
the family
global security.
The family was from Togo. Just so that if people want to know, the family was from Togo.
The family was from Togo.
A former German colony as well. It was us, Togo, Tanzania.
Yeah.
There was a fourth one, a very obscure one as well.
Yeah, that's look. As someone that loves history, I find things like that scary, especially when call it conservative individual starts occupying positions of power, because then they have this the whole thing of let's have a pure society by our standards of purity. And the thing is, you have those people all around the world. You have them in Europe, you have them in Africa. The thing is, a lot of those that you have in Africa are again in exactly what forms of political party. I'll give you an example of two individuals. Now, who is this? I was watching a documentary on. Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was born from a noble family. It's just that the family was spending more than they were bringing into the, in terms of income. So as a result, Winston Churchill ended up growing with not the wealth that his parents grew up with, because the mother was just one party animal. So he ended up drowning in debt. Now, when he was drowning in debt, but he was very good at one thing. He was very articulate. Yeah, he was very good at literature. He wrote books, and his books were selling fairly well. He was making a lot of money. He was just terrible at managing the money. And then he was also gambled a lot and all those things, and ended up again drowning in debt. But the thing is, when it came to making money with a pen, he was damn good at it. So in the middle of him drowning in debt, he was found by a bunch of bankers that basically financed him into power, and ended up committing genocide in India. And the same story can be told about yours truly, Adolf Hitler. He was just a failed painter, and then ended up, just a struggling guy, and he was found by a bunch of bankers who financed him into power. And what's one example, which is just a far western example? Who is this? There's one failed author in the Trump administration right now. Now, yeah. And
why is the guy a failed author?
He really tried. I will give him credit for that. But the author thing did not work out properly. And then he was found by guys with a lot of money and literally financed him into power. And look, the thing is, anyone can make their way into power. And that's at least that's the most sad thing about democracy. It's only as stable as if you watch how the money is flowing in your country. Because if you don't, anyone can destabilize your country by just funding groups that are anti-establishment. And believe me, any country has anti-establishment movements. Any country has those. So the whole idea of let's just have one race, one community type of environment that is seems to be picking up momentum really fast in the Western world, especially Western Europe and North America. That is going to find itself here really fast, and it's already manifesting in South Africa to some degree.
Yeah.
I found a TikTok video on Thabo Mbeki. I still have to verify the authenticity of that video. But he was saying something like, there's something fishy about this whole March and March movement. There's a lot of money behind it. I'm saying I still have to verify its authenticity and still referencing it, because it does, it took me back to what Ramaphosa was saying when he was addressing his nation with regards to the March and March movement. He did talk a lot by beating a lot, around the corners about those that would like to use the grievances of our country to tear our country apart. Just like every father or anyone in public position or position of power, there's something they know they just can't share. Yeah. So clearly, there are a lot of forces at play here, because now for me, that coming from a president was a little scary.
Well, the South Africans know most of these things, Hamad, and they obviously know what they've got to do. In our case, as Namibia, we don't take stock of known unknowns. So what am I meaning? What am I saying? Known unknowns would be a scenario of we knew we were colonized at one stage.
Yeah.
We are just not assessing the impact that this activity has had on livelihoods across the country. And so now 2025 comes about, and now we see about NDP6, and NDP6 tries to deal with the inequality discussion in its various ways by trying to promise the stimulating efforts and activities and initiatives to get the ball rolling, in terms of making the money rotate. But we've already sort of, it's not about a debunking exercise. There's nothing wrong with NDP6. It's just that NDP6 is just not on the level. We were used to Harambee Prosperity 1 and 2, which are detailed documents. Detailed documents, Helmut, when you compare them, for example, like HPP2 with NDP6, because what the president highlighted back in last year was that NDP6 carries the baton over, or continues with
from the HPPs,
from the HPPs and from NDP5. So now you have to ask yourself the question: did we achieve anything? And which will also be a scenario of what did we do? Did someone have a scorecard, basically comparing what the HPP2 wanted to achieve and what the NDP5 wanted to achieve? Did someone sit with a scorecard?
How much of it did we achieve, and how much of it did we push forward?
Yeah, and would you know what some of the things I discovered yesterday with the civil society discussion on the Africa peer review mechanism discussion, because the APRM people were with the civil society guys, and they were having this discussion of what civil society's participation in the APRM mechanism. So it comes out from the three panelists that were sitting there. One of them is on this report, Mr. Uhuru Dempes. He's in the photo. He's in the photo behind the president. He's part of this commission as well. Mr. Dempes highlighted there specifically that there was a draft of NDP6 that didn't cite civil society anyway. They didn't have inputs of civil society anywhere. Now remember, Helmut, we did a bunch of interviews last year about NDP6's rollout with various people. So there was me, there was David, there was Happy. We did a whole bunch of interviews about NDP6 and the goals it tried to achieve. And I tried taking it from three perspectives: one on the industrial perspective, one on the food security perspective, and there was a third one I did. I just don't remember the one, but it tried to cover the main core themes and discussions and talking points. And the one guy I interviewed on the food security thing, he cited specifically, that's Mr. Ben Schernick from NAFSAN, the Namibia Food Security Alliance something, or Association of Food Security something, where he highlights specifically civil society did have an input. But just yesterday I heard that the first draft of NDP6 had no inputs of civil society. Now, civil society, technically, Helmut, if you want to see how important civil society was, that town that I grew up in, Reboth here, 90 km here south, the first instances of civil society were religious actors. They were churches, the missionaries. Even though, they are.
I think most countries have that in reference to civil society, and let me just say, a lot of organizations.
Well,
that's from a religious perspective.
If you say most countries in the global south, yes. For example, the only hospital that the town of Reboth has was built by the Catholic Church. Now, this is without reference to your comments of last night that we stood here and you cited other talking points. We will keep that for another talking point.
There are two hospitals in the Kavango East region.
Yeah.
Actually, two of the biggest.
Yeah.
They're built by the Catholic Church.
The school, the abandoned school that's in Rundu.
Because because they all have a hospital on one side and a school on the other side.
Yeah, and then they've got the the church on the other side
Yeah.
because it's within one territory.
Yeah.
The school that in 2016 for the first time when I saw and met and visited Rundune,
Yeah.
we had to meet local government representatives of Kavango East in the I'll call it an abandoned school because primarily if our colleague Anna Kleta is writing about lack of school facilities, a whole school, Helmut, complex, double story, because the Catholic template in Southern Africa has been double story school buildings.
Yeah.
né? A whole school template used by government officials as offices, not for the intended purpose of a school. A school
is
was
an
handed
office
like
building.
the Catholic Church gave him a school just like that. They gave him a complex, a whole, land with this well maintained. Everything is there. Just use it for whatever. Being used for government offices because the government doesn't build its own offices. Look, I'm sorry, guys. Nothing against the government, but when you are not using a facility for its intended purpose, then we obviously know that there's also a little bit of a,
Nothing against the government.
nothing against the government.
Oh
yeah.
no, I have a lot of things against the government today. Just
And then with a scenario like Rebus,
Yeah.
So Rebus only remember I told you the story before here in the radio as well. My mom explained to us there was only one primary school, and there was only it's that system that the Americans have, that primary, junior primary, and then a high school. There's a in-between school. You have a primary school, you have an in-between school for 12-year-olds to 14-year-olds, and then you have the 15 to 18-year-olds high school. That's all that Rebut had in the 50s. né? At the end of the 50s, bridging on to the 60s, the Catholic Church, or the Southern Diocese of Namibia, which was administered from Keetmans, the Southern Diocese of Namibia, literally went and held a fundraising for money, and they built not just the church there. They built the living quarters of the priests, the brothers, and the nuns. They built the hospital because the town didn't have a hospital. They built the school. The town didn't have like another school because the oldest primary school, Reimte, was Lutheran or Dutch, the German Dutch Reformed primary school, and at that stage it was still discrimination was still on the lines of religion, and they built the kindergarten, built by the community with money collected in Germany or wherever by the priests. They built the thing. Now that's the first instances of civil society in Namibia, the first roots of civil society.
Yeah.
If you go to the north, there in Ohangwena, the what's that thing's name toch that I bumped into? Not just at Odibo, not just the complex at Odibo that has the school, the church. Then there was also the Onanjokwe Hospital, built by the Finns, also from a religious perspective. Then there was the other Finnish mission. What is that one's name, toch man? The abandoned one that's now converted into a rest camp. I can't. Yeah. Because the Finns decided to go north because the Germans were here in the south and the central parts. The Finns decided to go north, and Namibia has so much of this particular history of these first instances of civil society, but it came through with a Christian religious perspective, or it's sort of like its transportation mechanism. Now, civil society has taken a different dimension. Civil society now comes from, we need to do this as fellow Namibians for other Namibians in order to achieve the development goals of the country. And so as to improve each other's lives and to help each other, to help build each other up. That's now civil society's overall aim right now. So it has morphed, it has changed into a different beast, slightly more Namibianized, slightly more local, but it's now completely different. from the first instances of, in terms of technically, that colonialism literally came with the religion scenario into the country. And yeah, that's where we find ourselves.
So from the the point that I asked you to read for the second time, the one that looks the one where Judge Uitele is, in my understanding, is basically pointing in the direction of, you know what, when we went out there to look at this discussion of ancestral land, we didn't know it was this wide. But judging
that the nuances were so many.
The nuances were so many. But judging by the information that we have gathered, looking at it from the testimonies that we have gotten, which again you'll find just well written in chapter 6 of the document.
Yeah.
It brings up the discussion like the one that we had yesterday on Namibia and the Zambezi region, the Kasikili Island, and basically the history of the relationship between pre-independent Botswana and Namibia in reference to the Zambezi region. It's part of the discussion that you cannot have without talking about the history, the colonial history of the British being in Botswana and the Germans being in Namibia. You can't talk about the Zambezi region without talking about the British in Botswana and the British in Botswana and the Germans in Namibia. So the question then that comes from that is, when it comes to ownership, how far back are you going in history? Yeah. Are you going, are you going as far back as, are you going pre-British and, are you going pre-British and German occupation, or are you starting from the British and German occupation and their definition of ownership? Are we picking this discussion from there? And or are we having this discussion because if we pick it from there, then are we going to adopt the relationship or the agreement they had of the British handing the territory or on whatever agreement they had to the Germans, which would then make it a part of Namibia? So now it becomes a very broad discussion. We need a historical starting point. So are we starting? Are we going to adopt the agreement? Are we going to start? Are we going to start from post-German and British arrival, or are we going to start with their definition of ownership after they have drawn up all the maps? And if we are starting from there, are we adopting the agreement they had, which will then make a Zambezi part of Namibia? But if we take, for example, if we are to sit and say, whatever agreement in terms of handing over of the of parts of the Zambezi region to Namibia by the British, you can imagine the agreement was reached somewhere in London. If we have to negate that agreement, then parts of the region goes to Botswana.
Yeah.
So it becomes a very historically complex part in terms of finding the right starting point to start having that discussion. And now I know why most parts or most disputed territories have a very long history behind it.
Oh, it's got like multiple layers.
It has multiple layers. Where do you start from? I think that's what Judge Uitele was referring to, and that's basically my understanding of what he was saying in his foreword. That when we went out there, look, as being a former colonial country, we know that our history is complicated. But the thing is, when we went out there, we knew it was complicated, but we just didn't know how complicated. But after going out there and gathering all this information, we can tell you it is complicated.
Yeah, it is. It is, because it even gets into the executive summary, how long this executive summary is. But before we continue, guys, we'll quickly take a live read. This is the Welwitschek University 2027 applications that are now open for the Faculty of Health Sciences for the following programs: Certificate for Enrolled Nurse Midwife or Accoucheur Level 6, Certificate in Pharmacy Level 5, Bachelor of Social Work Honours, Bachelor of Nursing and Midwifery Science Honours, Postgraduate Diploma in Community Health Nursing Level 8, Postgraduate Diploma in Occupational Health and Safety Level 8, postgraduate diploma in mental health nursing level 8, Master of Public Health, and the Master of Occupational Health and Safety. For more information, call 081 403 6406. Velvicha University, where everyone is an achiever.
Welcome back, and now that forward and in a reference on those words in terms of okay, you know what? When we went out there, we knew that we were colonized, by the Germans, and we had our own different, call it tribal wars, in between here, and then the Germans showed up, and then the South Africans came in and also played their role. I mean, you're looking at over 100 years of history of all these agreements and disputes taking place.
Yeah.
Now, that brings up my favorite pages in that entire document, and that's pages 16 to 24. Yeah, not 16, from page 18 to 24. Where they are now, that's why I brought up, that part is the reason why I brought up the history part.
Is it the first from the still in the executive summary, or is it in the chapters?
Just go to page 18.
18.
Yeah, but it's actually safe to start it from basically the beginning of chapter 3.
Yeah. Oh, chapter 3. Okay.
Yeah, chapter 3. You are starting from chapter 3. Chapter 3 starts on page 15. Starts with historical background and land disposition. Then it comes up to 3.1. You have background, and you have they are basically going through the history. The history of Namibia, starting with the land itself, and then from page 18, they start looking at. Just a few tribes in terms of historical origin.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because
look at you, Helmut. Look at your group in the 1800s.
I know. Where do you think I got the forehead East Africa from? No.
What? No. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the thing is, you are looking at page 15 to 24 is basically explaining, for the most part, from 18 to 24 is explaining different tribes and their arrival into modern day Namibia, and some parts of northern Angola and parts of northwestern Botswana, especially for my tribe.
Mm.
What that brings up is now, and then you have mid to late 1800s. You have you have Europeans showing up basically.
Mm.
Now you have a lot of movements taking place here. Now and that's the key word, movement.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about when you talk about this discussion, which is why I totally agree with with Judge Witele that this is a very broad discussion to have. Now considering that page 18 to 24 just talks about less than 5 tribes that were described. Now, if you were to go into all tribes in Namibia and you trace their historical origin in terms of movements, and you just use movement in reference to ancestry, this discussion is going to take 1,000,000 years.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, because the key word here is, first of all, we want to resolve the discussion without, having to launch, rocket launchers. Speaking of rocket launchers, it's Friday. It has been a rank reset, so no more sleeping. Anyway, nothing.
Rank reset. I'm sorry. What?
Ish. Call of Duty.
You had a rank reset. I'm sorry, man.
I was dragged from legendary to master, not even grandmaster.
I'm sorry, man.
These guys suck.
Rank reset. I hate it when they do that.
Anyway.
Do you know why it happens?
What?
They realize that much of the current servers, the current players on the server, are all achieving the top level. And then they decided, let's bring in a new level, and let's just make it a little bit longer to reach the next level. And then they reset everybody. Like everybody just goes out, swoop, there goes your progress. Oh, but don't worry, Helmut, you can still keep the skins, the fancy colorizations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They do it a lot, even with Marvel's Rivals.
Jesus.
They reset the guys from legendary or elite and stuff like that, and then the people find out they once again have to start from a certain level again, or they start with seasons.
Look, I didn't.
This season, that season.
Look, I didn't even know that. First of all, I didn't know that there was rank reset. Until I started playing, that's when I realized that I was just playing with easy targets. These guys were just walking bots. That's when I was like, no, there's something wrong with this, because usually I'm fighting for my life with people that we call unemployed, unemployed lobbies, like
unemployed professional gamers.
Some of us have jobs, man.
No, those guys are good. Yeah. Those guys are good. When I come across them in PUBG,
yeah,
Helmut, they always take an SMG. And then when you still think you're good with your like assault rifles, and then this guy just goes, and it just is like literally just like they just spam bullets at you.
I'm not patient. I'm not patient enough to shoot more than one bullet. That's why my loadout. My armor is just sniper, shotgun.
Don't worry, guys. We're just talking about war games.
Yeah, it's a Ned thing. You understand? Yeah. Anyway. Now I'm having second thoughts about these cameras.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you ask me, if you don't want to launch nukes, we will first have to define ancestral. Now that's my favorite part. I think we have to define that. Not me, just lawmakers. They literally get paid to do things like that. So, in case you are still looking for a reason why you should get yourself this dog, okay, you know what? I have to send this commission, even though I think it was dissolved. It's not there anymore. I have to send this commission an invoice. Look, it's just it's a wonderful piece of document. It's a wonderful piece of document. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're about 6, 7. They're about 6, 7. They're about 7 tribes that are basically sort of like their origin in terms of migratory patterns is just is summarized. It's not in details, but it's just the information that is worth knowing. So the whole ancestral discussion becomes a very interesting discussion. But if you have to, this is a 780 something, almost a 800-page document, 790 something. Now the thing is, in case you are lazy to read, I'm not saying you should be lazy to read, but I still highly recommend it. Start with pages 16 to 24. And then go, now that's chapter 3. And then just skip all the legal jargon. Chapter 4 is we are, by this and this law, we have to follow this and this. This is how we are conducting this commission, and this is what we are doing, and this is what the law says about ancestral commission, land, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, now, if you just want to hear about, if you want to read about what are the people saying in relationship to the ancestral land, just scroll all the way to chapter 6. My favorite. Like I said, it's a 700 and something document, which something pages document, which I'm going to spend a very good weekend with. I'm going to spend a good weekend with. So now let's take a break, and on the other side of the break, Dwight, how about we just go through, for the last hour, or at least 20-30 minutes of the last hour, look at what did Namibians say in reference to ancestral land in chapter 6. All right, on the other side of the break.
Lipuranengeno wapumbwa eva tere ulikoni maondo tutoingida ashike kapeno nweku dite opoye ekukulile oshafafana nongeshe faili meholamo ihoetike kovano ile koshiwana onongeshe fa yapumbwa kukaraya kovano okupitiramo Eagle FM otuna ebitoda njuka okukwetera oipindi konu kondado inawa nuneudo o tukwetera o speciala ngeta shake ngeshefa o marudi dayo loka opone ushendi fenawa nokumona oijamwili nawa ningepata fanona Monica ko Eagle FM onora itatu imwe bali heali nola natu heali bali no heali ile ko mberewa nora hetatu natu bali o hetatu batatu o mafelane Eagle FM the eye.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Saima, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
Eagle FM lets you express your constitutional rights of freedom of expression without fear of favor.
This is actually, to put it mildly, an economic scandal.
Fraud. So
Not fraud, it's a scandal.
Scandal.
Why do you give a tender to somebody who does not have capacity to build? Why should you do that? You know a person that does not have a capacity to build.
Eagle FM lets you talk.
That's why I'm always telling people in Parliament, let me not take up my Katatura manners.
Right.
Because I grew up in Katatura. And I will not hesitate to tell you off if it is needed to do.
Be part of the debate by setting the agenda.
My response in terms of Rwanda at 6% is that we had been there before. We've had 6% growth before. It's not something that Namibia has not achieved in the past, and it's not something that Namibia will not be able to achieve in the future.
Eagle FM, the eye.
And welcome back, guys, from the extended break right there. And obviously, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, this is the, I won't say reformed home run, Helmut, because the word reformation means a bit weird.
Extended.
Do you want to say extended? Can't we just say the new spanking, slightly bigger, slightly longer, home run, which we obviously now start from 4, end at 7. And in terms of today, just to let you know, if you guys wondering where David is, we sort of like gave David a little bit of some resting time.
Yeah.
Because he,
He's doing the Lord's work. He's David.
The Lord's. As long as you didn't say he's thinking about Vision 2030.
No,
wherever he is. So yeah. So the interesting thing, obviously, that, dear listeners, that you've got to look at is that besides us sitting here with a book in front of us, the challenge itself is pretty steep in terms of, yes, it's now, this report came out in 2019. So we're now in 2026. Good 7.5 years later. Good 7.5 years later, dear listeners. And if you look at the current discussion specifically around the aspect of land, it's far from ever being solved or complete.
Nowhere near.
Obviously, from the State of the Nation address that the president had back in March, it was also a discussion once again there of where she referenced the joint declaration discussion about approaching Germany again, but firstly restarting the debating process within the National Assembly platform, because that also has a bearing. Or this report correlates to that bearing, to that particular discussion, and that discussion technically feeds into this report as well. And also, what particular goals and developments would then stem from said particular scenario. If you look at this from just being an observer of, just a layman's observer, unfortunately, the pace at which these developments are moving are super slow. And unfortunately, the discussion based upon achieving real goals, tangible results is also something that is unfortunately frustrating for the country, because Namibia has a clear developmental target to reach. But for all the particular, positivity that NDP6 wants to achieve, NDP6 ignores realities that are still lingering in, and that's some of the particular criticism that you can throw at NDP6 for that matter, because NDP6 speaks about developing the agro-processing sector of Namibia, like trying to expand it, trying to get more Namibians hired into job opportunities in it. But then you go ask the question, okay, so where do you usually find agro-processing? You'll either find it in Windhoek, you'll either find it in some select parts of the country where they've got a green scheme in close proximity, and then the rest of the country is just, lying dormant. Or you go and take the NSA's the census mapping reports of all the towns and regions of the country, and you go look at where there are government buildings or government institutions and private sector institutions, and you realize government service provision is the most dominant one across the country wherever you go. So you clearly sit with imbalances again. And Helmut, Helmut, we some of the State of the Region addresses had begun, back in last week.
Oh, no.
Back in last week and the week before, so we also have to put it down in our planner in terms of, nitpicking some of the particular things that the governors highlighted.
Yeah.
So there are core things that also stem from, for example, NDP6 wants to move forward, but technically NDP6 ignores a situation. That's my particular criticism. NDP6 wants to move forward. If you compare this report, Helmut, if you factor in the message of this report into NDP6's messaging, NDP6 unfortunately ignores a certain position. Because NDP6 says, okay, we've taken stock of situations by 2024, of things up until 2024, and this is what we see, what we envisage should change going ahead from 2025. And that's unfortunately the approach that NDP6 takes. It just takes this, right, I woke up this morning, yesterday I was the world's most terrible, okay, let me choose a PG level rating label. I was the world's most terrible father yesterday. Today I'm going to be the most wholesome community leader today. There is no such thing in this world. You can't. Yes, schizophrenia is a severe condition, sure, and bipolar, activities or bipolar, disorder, but that's not how the real world works. Even though those disorders exist in the real world, that's just not how it works. You can't ignore, okay, I've taken stock of things yesterday. Today my plan is I need to go dig more holes because we counted that we only dug 5 holes over 6 years. Now I'm going to go dig 10 holes in the 5 years of this particular term of this administration. It just doesn't work like that.
No. Let me just
cite something.
This is something that got me screaming at the top of my lungs in my room like a drunk idiot yesterday.
Not today when I sent you the report.
No, this is not about the report. It's in relation to development.
Yeah.
The report is fascinating.
Yeah.
Gurari warns against stalled projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have another one here going, which is, it's excellent reporting. Prime Minister demands urgent action on billions lost to stalled projects. Now, that was in reference to companies not being punished for not completing their projects, so basically abandoning projects.
Meaning like what happened with the Namra guys and the border stuff.
You know what? The 2023 procurement tracker, Link told them that our laws needs a way. We have to figure out a way to punish individuals. Because
or just a company.
Because there is a way of punishing a company in the public procurement.
There is, yeah.
Except every time that you punish a company by blacklisting,
the owner will just open up.
Exactly, just open another one. And I think the reason why that is going to be a serious pain in the neck is limited liability.
Yeah,
that's
we are limited liability.
Exactly,
we're not.
That's the look. The reason
we are most PTY LTD, which is the limited liability.
LTD is limited liability. I mean, there's a reason why the Public Procurement Act is basically the reason why it's written like that is to be in line with the Companies and Close Corporations Act.
Yeah.
Because if you just go straight to if you according to the Public Procurement Act, if you screw something up, we are going to punish you for the actions of your company. Now we're talking about the limited liability part comes into serious question. That's a serious hurdle that the Namibian legislations, especially in terms of public procurement, they will have to go through, because it's a very easy loophole to take advantage of. I will just register a company and then just chop money instead of apply for tenders and then chop money instead of finishing the tenders. And when that company, because it's only the company that can get that can be grey listed or blacklisted or banned from applying for tenders. You have to understand that Helmut is not applying for the tender. Helmut Incorporated is applying for the tender. That's a different entity. That's a giant legal loophole that from the look of things, Namibian tenderpreneurs have been taking advantage of. They will just apply, register a company with BIPA and make sure it's a limited liability, which is a genius technical move. And when they and then instead of finishing the project, they will just abandon the project, chop the money, and then the only reprimanding methods that we have in our laws is blacklist or greylist the company. And what does Helmut do next time? Next day, he just use what is left of the money that is chopping, use some of it, go to BIPA, register another one.
Which is still in his bank account.
Still in his bank account, just register another one. Now, the thing is, we only have one way out. One. And you are talking about one way of punishing individuals for the actions of their company. That's something called tearing the corporate veil, and it has its own requirements that one must meet. So anyone that's going to draft a piece of legislation that will end up, that will extend punishment beyond the companies that are applying for the tenders, will have to look at the corporate veil and be very technical with their language. Otherwise, lawyers are going to make a lot of money.
But there's still the lawyers already making them.
The thing is, a lot of people in the comments, because I came across that on Facebook, a lot of people in that comment section kept saying, why can't you just blacklist the company? Why can't you just punish them? Like, right. Sometimes I forget that I work in the media, so it's very easy for me to know about these things because, well, I'm literally getting paid to know it. So it's very easy for me then to be selfish and assume that everyone knows these things, and not knowing that not everyone gets paid to know it. So which is why that's what keeps bringing me back to Witele's point of media. Please share this. Now, so the point that
did he say that?
No, in reference to the ancestral land report. Yeah. But now the thing is, what the Prime Minister said in reference to punishing companies and the worry about projects being abandoned and how that hinders development, and it really does, how that hinders development, that's a genuine concern. But the technical language in terms of who to punish when there is a limited liability company involved, that becomes a pain in the neck of the legislators. Just start with the legislative branch and the judiciary. These two have to, and please don't use AI. They have to apply their technical language to find. Otherwise, the loophole is a very good one. Believe me, I would have used it. Anyone that wants to make money, which is everyone, last time I checked, would have used that loophole.
Yeah.
Now, again, the thing is, what the Prime Minister is pointing out is just something that we have been pointing out, and IPPR had an entire procurement tracker back in 2023 on the very same subject. It's a genuine concern. Since 2023, we can't be looking for a solution in 2026. Why did we just, bring the IPPR crew and say, okay, you know what, this is an excellent point. Now, what's the solution?
Yeah, but who was the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance?
Oh boy.
Who were the guys back then? I mean, it's also like how we have to look at, for example, the latest, what the 8th administration is trying to achieve, primarily in terms of like, you don't know if we're trying to get a house of some sort in order. Yeah, we moved a few labels, merged a few ministries together. That was the easy part. Bunch of people got sworn in, bunch of people got promoted in the public sector. But now that you've actually got to work now with the private sector to achieve certain goals, now the question starts popping up. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? Because every time when I read up on that Ministry of Health tender, or tenders, plural, it seems like they...
And that's the one with the bigger check.
They seem to continuously... those tenders from Ministry of Health continuously get bogged down in appeal processes and in legal challenges about the awarding of the tender itself.
Yeah.
And it literally hamstrings the ministry.
There's also a delay.
No, because the ministry is hamstrung. They can't issue vital medications if it's medication. They can't do certain things if it's to do with equipment. They can't respond in a certain way if it has to
but they need this for literally life and death situations.
Exactly. But now the two tenderpreneurs are squabbling with each other at the tender appeal process. And we don't know how far Minister Shafuda is in terms of reforming that particular process. Remember, that was her pitch.
It's part of the Public Procurement Act that's under amendment.
That she brought forward last year.
Yeah.
And remember, at the start of last year, her predecessor, former Minister Shimi, had his idea or proposal for reforming the appeal process as well. Because she just added a few things, but his was just, let's try and speed this process up.
Yeah.
So we still have to see how this works, and primarily how it basically allows the larger ministries, for example, like education and health, basically to actually meet their mandate to deliver.
And I feel, I really feel pity for them, especially the Ministry of Health, because that's why they ended up, just procuring everything through the emergency procurement, and they got in trouble again with the Office of the Auditor General.
Yeah. Not that it's actually trouble, Helmut. They were just told, hey, listen, guys.
They put on a frying pan, and believe me, I love that office. It doesn't...
You love that office?
I love that. Actually, I love their reports. And,
Yeah, because primarily, it's straightforward stuff about... It just makes it look weird for them, primarily now, in terms of what is deemed as emergency procurement and what is deemed as...
And they are expensive,
regular.
And we don't have money to burn. So
we don't have, but the budget has been allocated.
I know.
The budget has been allocated.
So pages, we're back to the report of the ancestral land discussion. Testimonies. The testimonies were basically divided by for the most part by a representation. For the most part, most of the testimonies are coming from traditional authority figures. Yeah, and you have testimonies and testimonies, narratives, and claims. The commission, that's on page 121, first page, first paragraph. The commission was fully cognizant of the uniqueness of each case. Almost spoke German. of each case that was presented by each deponent. No testimony was regarded as less of value in value and weight, and they just go into look at it as all protocol observed, from the commission before they dive in. When we asked the the Ndonga Traditional Authority, this was their point of view on this discussion. When we asked because we have the Ndonga Traditional Authority. They have their own they have their own basically several paragraphs here, and you have Nganjira Traditional Authority, Ukolongadi Traditional Authority, you have Okwaludi Traditional Authority, Rehoboth Buster, what's that last word? I can't read that. Page 126.
You just say it there for me, Hamut. You've got it there.
Gemeente.
Gemeente.
Oh, okay.
Meaning community.
What?
Gemeente.
I was like,
not to be mistaken with the other label you find in Karatura, for gemengde, which is mixture or mixed.
No, actually, the one when you said Karatura, the one that came in my mind was Hieme, but that so from yeah, and then coming up next is the Kavango communities. You have the Hambukushu. Hello, well represented. And okay, I'm not loving these cameras anymore. Yeah. You have the Kavango Traditional Authority as a joint testimony, and you have the Afrikaner Traditional Authority. You have and Nama communities. You have African Traditional Authority. It's a very long one. I mean, it's an entire chapter where they are where they are all giving their point of view on the subject. Just one subject. That's just one subject, which is ancestral land. One. Now, picking which one to get information from is an interesting one. Now, traditional communities testimonies, and you have testimonies, narratives, and claims made on behalf of the traditional communities were based on self-identification. For the purpose of the report and gazette and all that, just dive into the whole thing. It's like, let's just look at this from through alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Because under Awambo communities, because it starts with an A. I mean, it's a double A. So comes comes at the top. So then they lift subgroups, traditional representatives of subgroups that fall under the Awambo traditional authorities, and then you go. Then you find the Kavangos, and you have your different groups under there. So what do you find there? Different point of views, historical perspective, and also acquisition and solution to the problem as it stands today in reference to ancestral land. I think all you just have to do is go through chapter 6 and you will understand why a whole judge went out there, came back to Windhoek, and was like, yeah, you know what? I knew it was complicated going out there. But what I did not know was how complicated. And believe me when I tell you, it is complicated.
Look at this map. This map has aquifers in it. Okay, not aquifers, but bodies of water.
The blue, that's what?
Yeah.
The pink is what?
The pink is territories, certain territories.
Oh.
Yeah. No, the blue is communities. Yeah, this is a description of certain communities.
Oof.
I mean, they went pretty extensive, but yeah.
Is that the current or historical?
No, it's those historical colonial maps that they relied on. Well preserved ones as well.
Jeez, what page do you find that thing on?
It was 46,
Ooh, I'm in 121.
Yeah. No, I was on my way there to 121 when you asked me to go and look up gemeente.
Oh.
And then I came across maps, and I every time when I see a map, I just go zone out and I stop at a map, and I'm like, what does this map say?
You had one goal, to
Go-
find gemeente.
Yeah, to go to 121. And then I somewhere along the line or on the way there at page 43, other page 76, got sidetracked. But yeah. So yeah.
So different regions, different traditional authorities, and different subgroups, basically different groups were all asked, what's your take on this ancestral land discussion? Please walk us through. And traditional authorities just were like, you know what? We can represent our people. And looking at the size in literature that the commission was able to gather, I would say they gathered pretty decent amount of information.
I mean, they knew, because I mean, before we get even there to the discussion of your page 121,
yeah.
I mean, on the way there, Helmut, it shows the establishment of literal urban zones. It even goes into the Woodendale plan here. You know, pretty awesome stuff. Establishment of reservations and towns and farms with their surface area and the likes. And the discussion, it takes a whole different dimension here. For example, where's the one about that I just saw now specifically?
What about?
The one that starts about the Ordendale Commission. So in 1962, this is on page 51. This is under the section of
3.7.3.
Yeah, I'm there at 3.7.3. Now they explain here that the final phase of consolidating racially structured land ownership was ushered in with the appointment of the South African government of the Commission of Inquiry into Southwest African Affairs, commonly known as the Ordendale Commission. Now the task of this commission was to further entrench territorial apartheid in Namibia. We heard that recently on the Uluwazi show back on Monday.
Yeah.
And in its findings, the commission then pointed out that based on experience, virtually all existing reserves, the reserves are literally these communal land areas that we now today acknowledge, that all these virtually all existing reserves have been unable to achieve more than a subsistence economy. It argued that the amalgamation and expansion of some of the reserves, together with further training and active cooperation of their inhabitants, would ensure that all homelands would provide a proper livelihood for their respective population groups. However, economic development was not envisaged as part of a wider national development strategy, but rather within the ethnic enclaves proposed by the Commission. So, it was also a scenario specifically of whether or not economic development was an aim. Whereas today, 2026, 3rd of July, economic development is the main aim, the main particular core talking point that we've got to look at. It just makes things a little bit more nuanced. Primarily, that we still unfortunately have to look back in order to achieve our goals going ahead. There were some testimonies also highlighted here. For example, just below the one that obviously looked at political leadership, the one that starts with, according to Ngavirwe, one of the native reserves, except the Rehoboth Gebied, was
None.
large. Huh?
None.
Huh?
None of the native.
None?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Hamud?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
You said one of the native reserves.
Yeah, none. Sorry,
Yeah.
none of the native reserves. So according to Ngavirwe, none of the native reserves, except the Rehoboth Gebied, was large enough to form a homeland, which was true. If you guys ever had a look at, for example, like the current, okay, not current, but the previous versions of these communal land areas, you would feel sorry for many Namibians. The small amount of land. And there is one still that I am very much privy to. It's known as Sadco, just on the other side of Karasburg. Helmut, this communal land area, the people are stuck between literally commercial farms. They are encouraged through government programs. That's obviously from what the regional government, tries to extend to them to try start farming activities and the likes. But for many Namibians that don't understand, for example, like what small communal land boards or small communal land areas face, the pressures they face, the competition for resources they face.
Yeah.
And the resources, for example, if you now look at an agricultural perspective, speaks towards grazing water.
And they're sandwiched in between commercial farms.
And they're sandwiched in between commercial farms. Or if they have to graze outside the communal land area, they have to graze in corridors. So a corridor, for example, would be like sometimes when you drive here between Okahanya and Otjiwarongo.
Yeah.
Have you seen those guys that walk the cattle and the goats
Yeah.
between the road and that
the fence?
that farm fence zoning fence that stands there?
Yeah.
It's technically almost like a safety mechanism.
Yeah.
It's high enough to stop certain animals from jumping over so that they don't cause accidents on the road.
Yeah.
But it's also far enough from the road, basically, because the corridor is literally the state government, the state land.
Yeah.
That corridor between where the fence and the road are, that land is a corridor, state land.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the road, also from the road to where the fence is,
Yeah.
all that is government land. And those guys, usually when you see people graze cattle and living and livestock in those corridors, is usually when they don't have grazing where they come from. And corridor grazing in a modern day Namibia, with the new age challenges and developments that are obviously taking place, also puts not just the animals and the livestock of the farmer at risk. It also puts, for example, the farm hands that have to help, the farm workers that have to help with this grazing activity. Because it's big trusks. It's guys literally who have automatic gearboxes that just go like, there's only one direction my foot goes. It's just down. And then that needle does literally just this whoop. And then you hear the vurpa mechanisms, or antics take place. So it is a fact. Even though Mr. Ngavirwe obviously is no longer alive, but this is a fact that he stated specifically as part of this commission's report, is that in some cases, some communal land enclaves, they technically, there was no aspect in terms of where you could achieve any kind of economic activity.
Yeah.
Historically, it's so small. And the other historical impacts would be next to what are they positioned? Close to what are they positioned? Is there something negative happening close to them, or is it just that they are just too small, probably also overcrowded?
Yeah.
Then one of the other things is obviously also the man. If I now reference a China discussion in this discussion, Helmut, it would sort of like, it would be me basically gaslighting my fellow Namibian. The reason why I reference the gaslighting element.
Yeah.
Now, yes, last year when I went to China on that particular excursion with other Namibians, yes, I got impressed. Yes, I got to see how a local government intervenes to try and uplift rural community development. Remember, you interviewed me for the One China Corner program about what I saw, what I'm impressed with. But when you think about what can you adopt in a Namibian context, this is now the thinking of what NDP6 is espousing.
Yeah.
Let's yesterday we were dirty. Okay, I almost said dirty. Yesterday we were dealing with let's say flu. Today we no longer have flu, but it literally takes 3 days of healing between when you were literally knocked down with flu and 3 days for the thing, for the thing to basically pull out of your system for you to recover on. It's not like yesterday you were sick and this morning you are just alive, kicking and jumping.
Yeah.
So the particular view that NDP6 wishes to take for in comparison to to this report is a scenario of a gradual approach to, for example, to rural community upliftment. A gradual approach to how to achieve some of the recommendations, because we're not even at the recommendations yet of this thing.
No.
And there were recommendations basically in every chapter.
Yeah.
And it's also a scenario specifically of that looking forward in terms of developments that are about to come. For example, how will the restarting of debates in the National Assembly about the joint declaration, how will it kick off? Will it kick off with new verb, with new...
Do you need toiletries and household cleaners? You won't get it cheaper than at USave up to the 7th of June. Get two 50mm jars of Vaseline for only 25 Namibian dollars. Smell fresh with Playboy Roll-On deodorant for just 18.99 Namibian dollars. Get 2 kilograms of Surf's hand washing powder for just 49.99 Namibian dollars. Get 750ml Sunlight dishwashing liquid for 28.99 Namibian dollars. And get 2 boxes of Cares Maxi sanitary pads for only 12.99 Namibian dollars. USave, where else? Do you need toiletries and household cleaners? You won't get it cheaper than at USave up to the 7th of June. Get two 50mm jars of Vaseline for only 25 Namibian dollars. Smell fresh with Playboy Roll-On deodorant for just 18.99 Namibian dollars. Get 2 kilograms of Surf's hand washing powder for just 49.99 Namibian dollars. Get 750ml Sunlight dishwashing liquid for 28.99 Namibian dollars. And get 2 boxes of Cares Maxi sanitary pads for only 12.99 Namibian dollars. USave, where else?
Dwight, you're about to say, just hold that point. Eagle FM, good afternoon. Ding. It was nice ding to you. Anyway.
we got a missed call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean...
the missed call is returned. Eagle FM, good afternoon.
Yes. Hey, mister.
Yeah. On says ISO.
Here night. One day up. You many plots there like Zuma, man. Oh.
On says ISO.
On ISO. Hey, Helmut. I mean, Dwight.
Yes, Angabona, how are you doing?
Correct. The Dal. How are you doing?
Your side, Angabona?
No, thank God. So that approach that gradually rural development and all these things. People might not just talk about rural. People must talk about community members, community-based kind of development approach. Rural is fine. Rural. Because the community are most clustered somehow, even the village.
Yeah.
The village development, the village tourism that Memenetumba used to talk about, issues of that nature. So you, Dwight, you even visited China, remember?
Angabona, I thought you knew.
Oh my God. I think it's the first time you have visited a lot of countries. You went to Russia, you went to where?
When he came back, his name was Dwight.
You don't benefit much already, Maju.
I got that Chinese name over here.
So how is China? Tell me about China.
Angabona, what are you saying, Angabona?
How is China? Can you just in a minute or so describe China, the characteristic of Chinese economy or the society there, Just briefly, man.
Okay. Okay, not a problem, Angabona. Will you wait, or will we do it off air, or will we do it after you've done with the telephone?
No. Just a minute. Something you must go. You can just do it. You interact here.
Okay. So what happened was there were two examples specifically. An ancient village, primarily, or actually two villages. One was a scenario of like ancient Chinese living, so the buildings, the layout, the history, the way of life was preserved. And a second scenario one was actually just one of just preserving where, for example, the famous political leader of China, that being Mao, first came into contact, and the whole town basically was preserved. It was kept just as it is. Now, obviously, these two things generate major tourist activity, because it's literally promoted in that specific tourist particular or marketed in the tourism markets. The third rural community initiative that I saw was primarily people living in the village they were. Buildings were dilapidated. The facade of the village was just not, it wasn't conducive in terms of the modernization initiative that China wanted to achieve. And then when the Chinese president Xi Jinping visited this place back in 2016, Helmut, within a year, the facade of this village, firstly, they showed up in literally the engineering divisions and departments of the province showed up, built up the infrastructure, and made everything primarily livable or fit for human occupation and all that. So the downside of this is obviously that if you look at Namibia, if we want to do rural development, it would probably take another 100 years and another 50 NDBs to achieve.
Another how many years? It will take how long? Dwight.
Angabona.
Are you hearing me? I say how long
we have a slight headphone issue here, Angabona, but
but I'm hearing. I heard you when you talked about and how the village got involved. For us, you use a word gradually moving there. And of course, we might not take it too much long, because for us, we can also use, the Chinese are best friends. So if they are looking for resources in Africa, we have it. Even Namibia, we have it.
Angabona, now you are going on a different discussion here. We are supposed to look at ancestral land, what we Namibians can do for each other. That's the pitch. Not throwing Namibia now to say, hey, we're looking for what's the AU theme? Development partners to come and build our houses for us, Angabona.
I understand it, but I also gave you an example of Netumbo about village tourism. So this also now, it means that we are going to do some serious research, you understand, and study within our community. So Helmut is there talking about the ancestral land. Of course, we might not use that language. I don't know where you borrow it. So, and if people use the indigenous land, the ones you say, no, this one is no longer, this term is not appropriate. The ancestral land now is not appropriate. We are now saying, fine.
Okay, which term is not appropriate?
Apparently,
ancestral land.
Even ancestral land. That's why when you were talking about those land conference and things like that, where people were also having a claim on that.
The report itself is literally titled "Commission," a report of the Commission of Inquiry into Claims of Ancestral Land, Rights and Restitutions. So they just use the term. So,
is the one that was read by Judge
Waitele?
Waitele.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now, yes, if it, that, thank God for that one. So the one.
Oh yeah,
indigenous
thank heavens
language-
for this one.
Thank God heaven for this one. But now, so is this what we are seeing, or do we need the villagers, the community members, to get some kind of strong conviction and say, yes, here we know that they were, because most of those, what is it? I always say when you come from before Chumebo, somewhere in Otavi, you could see Mihare Ramingana or whoever is Mandume the fire. Oh, those ones, they are what is it that they pull from municipality? The sculptures, where we had those things, because they of course maybe they are not preserved. Helmut, I ask you about the oil, the company that's dealing oil. They apparently they were just the other one. They were all those things, but we have got the law. Why are we not preserving some of those ancestral issues, even if we are modernizing our development, our economy? So that's why maybe the late president, Agaden Kopoletis, told, rest in peace, they say, with the Namibian characteristic.
Yeah.
So these are some, of course, I know it takes long, and so the manufacturing in South Africa is taking long. So is it ourselves? Maybe we know the law, maybe we know the approach, all these economic issues, even the political. You mentioned about the political. I think the political aspect that you mentioned is very, very important, because that is the foundation and the path upon which you discover some of these laws and rules that will help the people to benefit. So, but that education is lacking. The way we understand the political ideology, I don't know. It's like you say now, this one is APC, this one is SWAPO, this one. That is the kind of level that I'm hearing. Do you understand? And even when you say no, of course, why don't we have these things anymore? Is it because of colonialism and the apartheid system? Because people were just saying that no, they were just misunderstanding of eating white bread and brown bread. Apparently, the brown bread is the best. That's what
it's
Franco was
healthy,
telling
Uncle
me.
Bona. It's been
So
proven.
now, this political education is not about the political party. It's about to know yourself also in your administration and how to run your community. So now you can give me the sum up now, Dwight, or out of the line. But thank you very much for giving us this thing. So we need to want to hear these things. Maybe they can attach some of these youth and graduates to come and be listening to Helmut and Dwight every day this time.
Mm-hmm.
We make it compulsory for them. Because if they don't want to go through that study, that program, how will they get there? Because they miss the youth development program. The youth, what? How do you call it? Youth? So thank you very much. No?
Yeah.
No problem, Uncle Bona.
3 minutes to the hour of have a good weekend. So that I'll recommend this document again. Just if you haven't read it, highly recommend it.
Try and find it, guys.
Yeah, just find it and look. The leaders, we are the leaders of tomorrow. Who is the Minister of Agriculture? I don't know. Really? You are the leader of tomorrow? You don't know the Minister of Agriculture, but you are the leader of tomorrow. You. Now, if you ask me, okay, look, I will take you up on that. If you say, I am the corrupt leader of tomorrow, because you'll be walking
Why
into a
did you
system.
have to add corrupt?
How do you not know a leader? A system that you are going to adopt. The best way to become. This is why I respect. I respect corrupt politicians that don't get caught. I have to be specific. Now, because, look, to be corrupt, whether it's corporate or public, you first have to understand how the system works, because that's how you find loopholes and take advantage of them. Which is why I I really admire the guys that are just applying for tenders and then abandoning them, because they just noticed one loophole and they are using it, and that's also and look, that right there is the reason why I don't take people seriously every time that they complain about corruption.
Yeah.
Because a corrupt public official takes advantage of loopholes in the system that they're using. Now, you as a private individual with your privately registered company, when you are exploiting loopholes like that, you are doing the exact same thing that you are complaining about that public officials are doing. So, end of home run? Yep, until Monday, same time, same place.
And on that note, dear listeners, let's see each other again. Specifically like on Sunday, because there's still the Sunday show. Otherwise, for Home Run, it's back on Monday. We'll see each other again. Same time, same place. We will have David here, full time.
Why pay more when you can pay less at USAVE stores? Enjoy nutritious and delicious meals for the whole family. 4 kilograms of real good frozen mixed chicken portions for only 209.99 Namibian dollars. 500 grams of Rama Original 70% fat spread, just 26.99 Namibian dollars. Clover Long Life milk for just 22.99 Namibian dollars. And 2 liters of Right Brand sunflower oil, just 74.99 Namibian dollars. USAVE, where good food costs less.
Care that goes where you go. That's international travel insurance through NHP. We facilitate cover of up to 10 million Namibian dollars per member for medical emergencies abroad as part of your membership. No extra charge. To receive your policy within minutes, simply register at nhp.com.na before you travel. T's and C's apply. NHP, rooted in care for you.
Your health, your life, your peace of mind. NHP, we're about you.
Get social with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Our handle is Eagle FM Namibia.
Eagle FM, the eye.
No matter where you are, if you have a mobile device, you can tune into Namibia's #1 talk radio station by downloading the Eagle FM app on the Google Play Store or on the Apple App Store. Download the Eagle FM app to tune into live Eagle FM programming or to listen to podcasts of previous broadcasts. Eagle FM, Namibia's #1 talk radio station.
Omutiha gutekirwa kaguna ii matina omjo. Chikao shafathana na nalo ngeshifa ya ishiwike moshiwana. Iye moyao ota ingongotisa mwene. Ana ngeshifa ya Namibia ompito mbwana wa oronjika.